As we approach this Memorial Day weekend, there's a big event happening this morning that I want you to know about at the National Infantry Museum in Columbus. Joining us now is 4-star General Barry McCaffrey, Division Commander in the Gulf War, and Colonel Greg Camp, retired now Executive Vice President of the National Infantry Foundation. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Rob. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you, Rob.
Now, this event coming up starting this morning at 9 o'clock, right, in Columbus?
Yeah, we're very excited. What will happen here in Columbus, Georgia, at the Infantry Museum is a ceremony to mark the 20th anniversary of the Desert Storm campaign. We're going to unveil paver stones to the 382 troops who were killed, and I might add more than 500 wounded. Thousands will come, and we'll have the senior military leadership that fought during that conflict, Admiral Stan Arthur, who commanded the naval forces, General Chuck Horner, who commanded the air power involved in the operation. This will become the memorial here in Columbus, Georgia, for those 700,000 some odd troops who fought in that campaign.
Colonel Greg Camp, you're the Executive Vice President of the National Infantry Foundation. Tell us about that organization.
Well, this foundation was the entity that created the National Infantry Museum and Soldier Center here in Columbus, Georgia. And it is a national treasure. It is Smithsonian quality, $100 million facility that's here to honor those American servicemen, foot soldiers, if you will, that have earned and protected our liberties for over 236 years.
You're also going to have, as I understand, a graduation of a company of new infantry school soldiers there?
Yeah, I think this General McCaffrey, that's a good aspect of the ceremonies. Every Thursday and Friday, all the courses of the Infantry Center graduate here on what is really hallowed ground, the parade ground right next to the Infantry Museum, right next to the World War II village that captures the World War II experience. All America's young soldiers, active Guard and Reserve, who go out to join the deployed infantry battalions, have their graduation ceremony. So we'll look at these volunteers to the Army and then the infantry force also. Many of them were perhaps 10 years old when 9/11 happened, and they're joining a combat force that has suffered almost 50,000 killed and wounded. So it's a good reminder that from Desert Storm to today, we still have these brave young men and women who will step forward to protect America.
Yes. You, of course, 4-star General Barry McCaffrey, will be there. You'll be emceeing this event. But what a gathering of real, true military leaders from this nation from that Gulf War era.
Yeah, well, again, we're really honored that the senior Air Force, Navy, Marine, and Army leaders, many of them, we couldn't get General Schwarzkopf to come, but his executive officer during the campaign, at that time was a young Colonel B.B. Bell, just retired as a 4-star general. He'll give the graduation remarks this morning.
Wow.
So it promises to be a good reminder to the country, certainly to the Infantry Museum, which sponsors it here in Columbus, Georgia, of the sacrifice of the armed forces during that initial campaign to free Kuwait, and how the country came behind us to carry that out. President Bush, Secretary Cheney, General Colin Powell, our Joint Commander Norm Schwarzkopf. It was in many ways America's shortest and most successful military operation.
Colonel Greg Camp, you're retired now, but it must be an honor for you to be among these military giants, these leaders of the military effort in the Gulf War. It must be really a pleasure for you to be around these guys.
It is truly an honor to be around them, and I think that this ceremony today speaks to how important this memorial is, and the venue that we're having this memorial dedicated at. To get this kind of senior leadership to come to Columbus, Georgia, speaks to the thing that we're doing today. Many of our nation's wars have memorials and monuments along the Mall in Washington, specifically World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Kansas City is a wonderful memorial to World War I. Today, we're creating the equivalent of those memorials for the Desert Storm generation right here. There is a granite monument that has a bronze plaque that depicts the war. There is a specially commissioned flag that will be flown over these 382 granite pavers for perpetuity. And it's because of this national nature of this event that we have attracted the senior leaders of all these services to come here and honor those who they were privileged to lead 20 years ago.
General McCaffrey, I have to ask you something here on a personal note. When you get together with these other guys like General Bell, and even when you get together with General Norman Schwarzkopf and some of the great military leaders of the last couple of decades, what do you guys talk about? I mean, what is it? Sports? Is it politics? Is it all military stuff? I can just imagine. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in a room when you guys get together.
Well, there's an enormous bond among the men and women who served in combat in any of the nation's wars, whether it's the greatest generation of World War II, continuing through to today. As you look around the armed forces, you find that the senior non-commissioned officers, the command sergeant majors, the first sergeants, the company commanders, the senior combat leadership of the armed forces have all served multiple combat deployments, not just in Iraq and Afghanistan, but many of them served in peacekeeping operations in Bosnia, you name it. So I think really the Desert Storm team is unusual in one sense. At one extreme was Vietnam with its 58,000 dead, 300,000 wounded, and the terrible political divisions of the country. At the other extreme is the unambiguous good that Desert Shield, Desert Storm accomplished with this short, focused military campaign with the wisdom of President George Herbert Walker Bush and with the military leadership that got the job done rapidly. So I think there's just gratitude for the comradeship and memory of the sacrifice of the 382 that we'll memorialize today who lost their lives in Desert Storm.
General, one more question. We just have a minute left with you guys here. You're talking about the swift action we took in the Gulf War. We started aerial bombardment 17th of January 1991. On the 10th of March 1991, the 540,000 American troops started moving out of the Persian Gulf. It was, to use your words, a decisive military action. Today, our wars and our kinetic military actions seem to last a lot longer. We're 8 years in Iraq now, 10 years in Afghanistan. We don't know how long we're going to be involved with Libya. Are military leaders, General, today too hamstrung by today's civilian leadership to get the job done?
Well, I think the nature of warfare is complex. The operations in Iraq and Afghanistan in particular have, in my judgment, contributed enormously to U.S. national security. But they involved more than this military dimension. So, particularly in Afghanistan, we still have 100,000 U.S. forces, 50,000 of our NATO allies. We're trying to build a nation out of this chaotic 14th century society, and we're doing it because presumably we were concerned about it again being a launch point for terrorist attack on the United States or its allies. A very tough, very different, very complex, and very long-term mission. I think that all of us should be aware of the sacrifice of the troops that are fighting that campaign and should hope that, the commander-in-chief is trying to stand up this Afghan security force and begin the withdrawal, and we'd better hope that that's a successful conclusion.
Certainly. Gentlemen, thank you both for being with us today. The event starts at 9 o'clock this morning, continues until 10:30 there at the National Infantry Museum. And, Colonel, this museum is really something. It also includes a parade field, Memorial Walk of Honor, authentic World War II company street, 3D IMAX theater. This is an amazing museum.
This truly is an amazing museum, and I would invite all Georgians to come down here and visit this great tribute to the American soldier.
Thank you both. General McCaffrey, it's good to talk to you this morning, and you too as well, Colonel Greg Camp.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for your years of service. We cannot say thank you enough, gentlemen.